Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. In today's session, we continue this journey with the MIA Azure leaders that we have been hosting across the past couple of months, talking about right, maybe I lost the audio for a second. As you know, the reactors are hubs for founders and developers around the globe where they can meet and come together to learn and experiment and learn from the open source community and Microsoft experts all about the recent technology updates. And in today's session, we're talking about calling web APIs from Microsoft Blazor app. My name is Hussam Mohsini. I'm the program manager for Microsoft Reactor in MIA, and we're physically located in Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure, maybe. Anwar, can you hear me actually? I have the
Yeah, there was an
background.
interruption, but now it's okay, it's fine.
All right, awesome. So yeah, my name is Hussam. I'm the program manager for Microsoft Reactor in Abu Dhabi, and you can find me on these channels where we can connect and get your feedback as well throughout the different channels and learn about all these sessions that you would love to see at the Reactor. In today's session, we are continuing this journey with Anwar, and Anwar the manager of IT application and support in Kuwait. We had him in an earlier session as part of the MIA series, and we have got feedback on the topics and technologies that you would love to learn more about. And this is why we are continuing in today's session with also another two parts following on this feedback and requests. So Anwar is working on a daily basis with application developers and software vendors around the globe. He's a renowned speaker at regional conferences and technology gatherings. And you can connect with him on LinkedIn, and I will share that link in the chat. During today's session, as usual, you know the code of conduct. Be aware of others. We're here to learn and connect and share thoughts. So let's keep this environment friendly and patient and welcoming and respectful at all time. Let's all be open to all viewpoints and questions and be understanding of each other's differences. Again, a quick reminder about the check-in page. This is where you can find the resources related to today's session. And also you'll find the link to the survey where you can share the topics that you would love to see in future sessions. I would like to hand over the mic to Anwar to start today's workshop, and I'll be here in the background answering some of your questions and looking at your feedback in the chat. If you prefer to go off mute towards the end and ask questions, please let me know in the chat, and I will make that possible for you. That's all. Thank you, Anwar, for joining us and for coming here to share your experience with our community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussam. Thank you, everybody, for joining this session from around the world. And as mentioned, this is my second session in MIA series, Reactor series. Today we will be covering, I hope you were there in the previous session where we had given an overview, an introduction to ASP.NET Blazor in general. Today we are going to have a hands-on session. We will go through Blazor WebAssembly application, and we will see how we can call public web API from the Blazor application and to show the results on the page. it's like a starting point. As Mr. Hussam mentioned, we are going to have 2 more sessions in this series. The second session will be, second and third session will cover completely how to create a CRUD, retrieve, update, and delete application by using Microsoft ASP.NET Core Blazor. So this will be a, let's say, a stepping stone to that. For in this session, we will be using, we will be learning how to call a web API from Microsoft Blazor application. I'll go to the, the slides. Hussam, am I able to share my screen? I think you will have to. Okay, just a minute.
Yeah, all good on my side.
Yes.
I'm waiting your screen. Yes, I can see your VS Code.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, now I'll share first the presentation. Okay, I'll just quickly go through. Hussam has given a detailed introduction, so I'm not going to introduce myself more. We'll just jump into the session because we have to cover a little bit in detail. Okay, this is the agenda for today. What we are going to do, we will have an overview. This is what we are doing now. Secondly, we will select the public web API we have to call from our application. We will select that API and we will learn the structure and parameters of that API. Based on the structure and parameters of that API, we will have to, thirdly, we will have to create necessary classes, data models. Then we will have to design the UI and we will run the demo application. We will be intermittently running the demo application, but at the end, we will be running the full functioning demo application. So this is what we are planning to do today. As Hussam mentioned, you can ask the questions in between by chat, or to be more perfect, it is better to ask at the end of the session. If you want to unmute, please request in the chat, and Hussam will allow you to use your mic, and you can ask the question by using your voice. So our session today is hands-on. So let's go directly into hands-on session. I'll just create from starting Visual Studio for creating a new Blazor WebAssembly application. I'm using 2019 Visual Studio. As you know, the new Visual Studio version in preview, Visual Studio 2022, not yet officially out. It will be available in November. Now we'll be using from the available templates. We'll be using Blazor WebAssembly application template. I'll go and I'll name this one Reactor Sample App. And yeah, we'll just continue. Here we will use a progressive web application. We will tick this one. We're not going to use ASP.NET Core hosted because we would like to see the application running independently on the web browser. Okay, that's all. We will create the application by using the default template. Okay, the application as the base template, with the base template, it is created. Let's minimize it. And as I mentioned, the first thing we have to do, we have to select the public web API and we have to analyze its structure. I had done some searches which one to be used for the session today. There are different APIs available for developers to test. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, some of them are like hybrid, like you will be able to use it for some specific number of calls, then you will have to pay. So there are different. for the time being, as it is a demonstrating application session, we don't want to go into the paid one, and we officially don't want to promote any kind of API providing vendors. So we'll just use a public API available free of cost. So that's like this is what we are going to use, the Zippopotam. This is an API, will provide you the details of the place or country and state if you provide the zip code, let's say pin code. In different countries, it is known as zip code or pin code or whatever. So we'll be using this API to get our details. So for that, just let's run a sample, get through the browser. I'll just use it on the browser and see what is the result, how the result is constructed. I just used it. So when I run api.zippopotam.us, this is second parameter I gave. First parameter I gave is US. This is denoting the country. And the second parameter, this is the zip code or pin code in that country. So if we provide this country and the zip code, we are getting this result. So this is the result we are going to get. We have to see this one and we have to analyze the result to know the structure of the result we will get from the API call. Normally, we can do this by looking into the documentation and learning, reading all those things. But as it's a simple API and the structure is also simple, we can just analyze the result and get whatever we need from the result itself. So this is what we are going to do. We are not going to read the whole documentation, especially on a live session. Okay, so for that purpose, let's analyze the result. As you can see, first of all, it's a JSON response. Normally, web APIs, they will be providing either JSON response or XML response. And when you create the API, web API, especially when you use Microsoft ASP Net Core to create the web API, you can specify what kind of output you would like to provide, either through XML or through JSON. Here it's JSON. So the structure, we have parameters called postcode, country, and a country abbreviation. And then you can see a list places because same zip code may have, generally it will not have, it will have only one place name associated with it, but it could have multiple places associated with it. So that's why a list is there as a parameter, places, and it's another JSON structure for that places. It will be place name, longitude and latitude and state abbreviation, and latitude at the end. So this is the structure. Now this is what we have to use, and this is the structure we need to implement it within our application. We will just copy the result. We have that calling is there within ourselves. So let's copy the result and put it on the Now let's go back to the application we just started. Before we do anything, we just need to analyze the structure of let's say a default Blazor WebAssembly application. It's very simple. We have these are the 3 pages available by default. Index page is the home page, which we are going to see whenever we open the application. And there is a counter page and there is a fetch data page. It's like, this is the www root where the browser will be hitting into there. And there are some shared options and razor pages. This is the main layout. The layout actually for each pages are inheriting from the main layout. And we have the navigation menu. Okay, let's first go through this. This is the nav menu. I'll just run it for, okay. Here, this is the demo application running. In the nav menu, navigation menu, we have the home page. In the home page, we have the, it's like, it does not have any link. It is the home page, index page. And the second one, we have the counter. And for the counter, we have here, this is the, the link. And this is the name we are going to give for the counter. And here, fetch data. You can see fetch data here. And this is the link for that fetch data. The link is the page name you gave in the Razor page. We are going to reach them. Okay. Now, for example, let's open one page. Let's say counter. See, this is the one you have given in the nav menu as the link. Here we have given, here we have given the counter. This is that. So whatever you mention as the page in link name, that will have to be given in the navigation menu. Now, as the first step, we will create a new Razor page, Razor component actually, in fact, to call our web API and to show the result. So we will just create that, add new Razor component. Let's stop running the debugging session, and let's start add Razor component. I'll name it like zip info. Let's say view zip info. I'll add that Razor page. This is the default page structure. The Microsoft, it is by default, it is giving the name of the page which we give as the title of the page. So I just gave some spaces. What I have to do is I have to give first as a page title or page link. So with the page, I will give with the slash, I'll give view zip info. Okay. So, but we can use this link to reach to this page. Good. So we are into the page and there is nothing. If we, let's say in the nav menu, we will create, okay. And we will add that one, and here I'll add zip info. Sorry. Here I have to copy whatever I have given here. Okay. I'll just copy and paste it here. You'll be just running to see the nav menu appears. Okay, see, oh, view, I missed the letter view, V anyway. Nothing we can see, only the title is there. Okay, so we have to do that first of all. Okay, now this is there. Now what we have to do, we have the base page available where we have to work, where we have to call the web API and show the result. Before we go into that, let's go back and create the necessary classes for our web API. We call our web API and to deserialize the, and serialize the result into classes. So let's do one thing. Let's create a new folder called classes or model, whatever you like to name it. Let me just create add new class. Okay, I'll put zip info. Let's say zip primary info, because we have here public zip primary info. To create the class, we need to know the structure. For that, we will just copy back again what we had done from here. Let's take it from here. Here we have postcode. First, we have to do so public string, let's say postcode. Here we have a problem. The parameter in the JSON response, it's with space, but in C# it will not allow you to use space in the parameter name of a class. So we will just remove the parameter, and let's use an underscore, and we will see how can we deal with that later. Set and set. Okay. We have, let's say, 3 main parameters. So I'll just copy. Let's say next is country. And the next is country abbreviation. Country abbreviation. And here also there is a space, so I'll use underscore. Okay. Now here the next parts are actually a list within the class as a parameter. So we have what we have to do. We will have to create a new class for it and use it a list of that class within this class. That's what we are going to do. Let's take this out. And like we did before, let's create a new class within the classes folder. Where did I create? Okay. I think I had to create a folder. I forgot to create a folder. Okay. So let's say, not necessarily, but anyway, we will just do add a folder. Classes. We have to create better, to organize well, it is better to create the classes or models within that folder and folder wise structure your application. But anyway, I missed the previous class to create within the folder, so we'll just do this one within that anyway. So let's name the this class as zip place info, for example. Any name you can give. I'm giving zip place info as the name, and here we have again, I'll just copy, okay, to save the time. Okay, here we have place name. Okay. Again, there is a space issue, and longitude, state abbreviation, state abbreviation, space, and latitude. We are done with the place info class. Now we have the place info, and what we have to do now within the primary info, we have to include that list of places as a list of that class. So what we'll do, public zip primary info. We don't get that name in the IntelliSense. You know why? We have to using React terminal, this one, and classes. We have to add a reference using to that folder, then we will be able to get this one. Here, public zip. Here now we are getting that place info. Okay. We have to use the same name how it was given in the JSON. So places, and we will give get and set. We are done. So now we have the primary info as single parameters, and we have the list of places related to that postcode as a list of places, as a list of zip place info class object, and that object is defined here with the single parameters within that. Now we have the structure ready. Okay. Now, what we have to do when we call a web API, we have to call that API and get the result, and when we have to when we get the result, we have to serialize into the object into our class and display our pages with the structure of our class as we like. So let's go back to the page which we created. That was view zip info page. Here we have to first define. First of all, normally when we run, we have different let's say different sample zip codes. We can see everywhere we are getting single results, but they are just keeping it as a possibility of multiple results. That's why the places they gave as that class. Let's see here. Let's try this. Another one. Let's say in India. Okay, and forgot my the zip code. Okay, see, it gives even from India it gives, but place it gives only one entry. But as a possibility, the API keeps possibility of having multiple places for one single one. So we have to use that code, and we have to use that structure accordingly. So let's first do one thing. What we have to do? We have to have a place where the user to enter the zip code. So let's say div, and we will have a class of that div. We will not give all the details because this is basic HTML and CSS. We may have a different session if we want to go into the details, but it will not be possible to show everything on one single session. So, and it's it's not that much complicated also. If you follow me, you can get the basic idea. Let's say call lesson, okay, and I'll give a style. Now here we will have style. Let's say border color. Sorry. Like for example, and radius, border radius. Let's say 10 pixels. Okay, we are not going more into the beautification of this one. We are just running it with the basic structure and basic UI. We can go more and more into the depth of presenting it in a very good manner into the UI designing options available. But as the scope of this today's session, it's not possible to go more in detail. So we will have like okay, what we need to have an input box, and we need to have a search button, and we need to have a label. So we will put label, and let's say okay, zip code. And now we need an input box. Input, and we will say okay. Here to bind the value, Blazor supports two-way binding. That means you can have a variable, and the control will show the value of that variable, and whenever you change the value within that control, it will go and change the value of the variable back also. This way, Blazor supports two-way binding. So let's say a string variable called zip code to search. Okay. Sorry, we'll have is equal to. Here in the input, what we will do, we will bind it to that variable. So let's say at zip code to search. So we are binding the value of this input box into the variable which we just created. Okay, for us to understand sample, or let's say put 11111. Okay, when we run, it will be showing that value within the input box. Let's try to run it and see. Okay, see the one which we gave as the default value, it came there. Okay, now we need to have a search button. So we will give like button as btn, let's say primary button. Okay, or outline primary to be more precise. And we will give what, okay, search, the text we will see on the button. And here now we have to create a procedure to run when somebody clicks on that button. So I'll use like private asynchronous void on button or let's say the button okay. Okay, now we have to link this button to this procedure, this void. So I have to give what on button click on click. Of Blazor and the beauty of Microsoft Visual Studio is it allows you by IntelliSense just to select and continue as fast as possible. Okay, now when the button clicks, we are reaching here. Now what we need to do, we need to use that zip code to search. So we have the zip code to search, and we know the URL which we have to use. First, what we need is we need to have an HTTP client object. So let's say CLNT is equal to new HTTP client. Okay, we just initiated a new HTTP client. Now I'll just quickly do what we need to do, and then later on we can enhance it and enhance it. So here we can just use the HTTP client to call the web API and get the result. So when we get the result, we are getting one result with the primary zip info class structure which we created. So let's do one thing. Let's create a variable for our, let's initiate our primary zip info object into a local variable. Let's say zip primary info, zip p or info. I'll give that name, for example, is equal to zip primary info. Okay. Now I have so I'll use this one. Zip pr info is equal to our HTTP client object dot get JSON async, because the output is in JSON. So I have to use the get from JSON async. Okay, get from JSON async. Here I have to give the URL to use. So I'll just copy the URL which we have pasted here. This is the one. I'll just use it and customize it accordingly. Okay, here we have the full URL, and we don't want to give this one here because we want to use whatever the user typed there. So we will put the zip code to search. Here, yeah, we have to put await because it's an async call. Now we have to give the structure where we have to, serialize it. So we will give zip primary info, because when we read from JSON, we need to use that JSON content and serialize it into this object. That's why we have to give the structure of that one. Now we are ready. So we will, the system will call the web, Blazor web app will call this API, and it will take the result and it will serialize into this object, and we will have a zip primary info local object filled with the result. Okay. Now we will have that result. Let's just run it and see, and we will see. Okay, just see string test country is equal to, let's say, zip info zip pr info dot country. Okay, let's just try to get it and see whether this is reachable or not. Okay, here it's not hitting that point, but we will just use this. Or this one, I'll put this and search. What is the issue? Let's see. Use a string variable to show the result for us to know what happens. Str feedback, and we will use it here. Okay. And here I will mention state has changed. That means, it will re-render the page. So just instructing Blazor to re-render the page. Whenever we mention state has changed, it is instructing Blazor to re-render the page. Oh, that's why. Okay. Okay, now let's try to run it again. Okay, we have some issue in our structure. Let's just close it and see. In the zip place info, places, place name, longitude, okay, constituency, okay, here we have. Okay, before that we will just, resolve the issue of this space. Here, let's say we have to instruct Visual Studio Blazor that the name from Blazor from JSON is different. So let's say JSON property name. Let's say this one. Okay, here JSON property name is this one without space. Here it is giving me a question. We need to add system text.json.serialization. Okay, here we have that, and another one here. Constituent. Okay, let me. We actually have country abbreviation. How come we can make that? State abbreviation, right? Place info state abbreviation. Okay, this is not the. Okay, that's right. Anyway, we'll use this one here. That was causing the error, not this one. If it is not matching the name, it will just ignore. But here, okay, state abbreviation. Place name, state abbreviation here. Similarly, we have the primary info. Here we have, JSON property name. Here in the primary info, we have to have that one, postcode without this one, and we have to have the here also in this class also we have to have the JSON using statement. That's why. Okay, we have one more with space. Okay, done. Here done. Okay, and without. Okay, done. Let's try again. Okay, what was that number? I forgot always. 2014. Okay, let me just see. Here we will have primary info. Okay, sorry. We should not give just like that because it's a list actually. So we have to give the list of places, not like single one. List of places it should. Okay, here it is. Okay. Now this time it runs successfully without any issue. Now we have to treat that result by showing that we can stop it. Maybe by 10 minutes we can quickly have it. If you don't want me to go through that one fully, we can do view zip info. What we have to have here is once we do, let's do a break here. Okay, again another sorry. Now let's do a table. Let's do quickly. In the table, we will have, let's say, header row, row, table header, header, yes, okay. And then we have a row. Okay, then we have a h. Here we have country. And we have the, let's say, what we have in the primary info. We have country, postcode. Okay, we'll do the postcode also. Put postcode here as a title. Okay, country. And we have the place name. We'll use only 3 place. Here, this is the header part. Now body, we have to have body. Table row, okay. For that, we have to do we have to iterate the result, what we are getting. So we have the result within, we are getting the zip primary info. The result will be populated into this. It will be serialized and it will be populated here. So we have to use this one here. The beauty of Blazor, you can mix HTML, CSS and the C# codes wherever you need. Even when you define the the UI, there also you can just define, use your code and define your UI according by using the code. I'll just show you that. Let's say for each the place info zip place info. We need the place info. What was the music place info? Okay, we have to use this one. Why it is not showing? Because we have to put using. Here we will have the place. Here we have no place info. Okay. PLC in the object what we have is here the zip code to search. The result is here zip primary info. Here in primary info dot. When I finish, you will understand why I was doing these places. Okay. Okay, now what we have to do here, let's say first level we'll show the postcode. So we will use zip primary info 2. Okay, we have to use that. Okay, just now we will do info dot postcode. Okay, here what else we have to use? Country. Again, country. And here we have to use the the PLC, the place, for because we are iterating the place. Okay, let's go through this one first. We'll come back to the. That's why, okay. Okay, now we have this one. Let's try after this. State has changed here also. What we are going to do, we are calling the process, I mean the API, and getting the result into this object zip PR info, and actually zip PR info is used within for that. How many places are there within that object? For each places we are iterating, and for each entry we are putting an entry in the table. So first column will be for the primary info postcode, primary info country, and the place info place name. So this is what we are doing. Let's try to run it. Just check. Just 1 minute. Okay, let's see whether this is reaching here. What we have to do in that case, we have to see why this is going zip code search value. Okay, 1 minute. Before that, I'll show you another one which I just created before. Let me see this one. Okay, in this one I had done same one. We have the zip code, and we have the button, and we have the same structure. Here what I have done additionally, we may not have time to go all through, so I'll just show you. I just use the zip code text box to add multiple zip codes, so it will add the result into the list, and it will show you the result from multiple zip code. I'll just run it and show you this one, because we don't have time to analyze the error which we get. We will have to go through in detail. Here, I think I gave this one. This is a normal counter. Here, I'll give that. Sorry. United States and Miami, it gives. Here, if I give one more, it gives both. It's not showing the zip code because of the other issue which we just did, because of the space in the name. So let's see the zip code. What is the issue in the zip code? Here, just a minute. Here we have to mention that here this one, JSON property. Here if we mention so here we are done. I'll just show it. Still it is not showing the full display. Just again, sorry. The issue, of course, copy paste. Just a minute. Actually, it is with the space in the this one. Okay. Here also place name. Okay. Now this time it should be okay. There you go. So this is the result we were, fully trying to reach. This was just done. I had done, I'll show you just 1 minute. Before the session, I just created myself just for having a clear understanding what we are going to demonstrate. In this one, we were giving counter. This one here, we have to say zip info. Just say view zip info. And here, I'll just quickly go through what we are doing. Because I was doing some UI, enhancement experiments. We don't want to, do that. We are about to finish our session now. Okay, now what we have a label zip code, and we have a input zip code to search. The zip code to search is the text string. What we want to catch what the user is entering. It will go to this, and we have the button. That button will take us here. Okay, before we go there, we have the the table in the zip code, country, and city. So here what we have done is we are accepting multiple zip code. This is the ultimate place where we were trying to reach in our demo, but as we don't have much time, I'm just showing you what I have done, and you can just quickly go through that. So for that, what we have done, we have created a list of primary info, primary info list. A list of our primary info object. So that means we will have multiple primary info objects because we will accept multiple, zip codes and HTTP clients, and we have a string array for zip codes. What we are doing, we are taking that zip code to search and splitting it into the zip codes string array. So once you have the zip code string array, what we are doing, we are iterating through the zip code string array, and for each zip code, we are calling the API by giving that zip code. Once we have the result, we are adding that result into the list of zip primary info object. So we have at the end, when the process finish, we have a list of zip primary info objects. So it instructs that the state has changed. What happens here, for each, we are iterating each entry in the list of primary info. We are showing the primary info postcode, we are showing the primary info of country name, plus we are iterating within the places entries within that primary info entry and showing the place name also as the third column. So in this case, we can add multiple zip codes, and it will iterate all the results and showing all the the results in that table. We were using like border color and width, specifying the width for the first text box entry part, and we were giving a margin to place it well with the next one. And here also we were giving a background color for the result part to differentiate it and to present it well. You can use any best colors. I just selected one color, and that's what we were doing. And this is the code snippet we were having. And in the nav menu, I just updated because it was just showing counter only. Here it was view zip info, and it will take us to the zip info page. Just quickly, the last run, we will just run it again, and we will finish the demo session. Here we will add. Yeah. So it actually first splits this one into a string array, and for using each string within that string array, it calls the API, and when we have the result, we are adding into the list of our primary info objects, and then we are iterating that primary info object and taking these two parameters from the primary objects, and we are iterating and taking the city name from the places sub object within that, or list of places. Eventually, only one entry is there for each result. That's why it has only one. If we have for this 33162, if we have multiple places associated with it, we will have a continuation of this one in 2-3 lines with different city names. And the same thing happens for the next entry within the string array. I hope things are clear. As we were reaching into the last, the time was finishing up. That's why, we were not looking into the errors and go through and doing this all in step by step. So that's why I show you everything together and for you to understand, to have a look and understand it well. I hope the demo session we can stop here, and if you have any questions, we can just quickly go through that. Thank you very much.
Anwar. Thank you, Anwar, for the session today. And yeah, we're available to take some questions. I think we covered what was addressed in the chat. So if anyone has a question that is not yet covered, you can text or by chat, or you can also request to go off mute. I'll enable that for you. I think we're receiving some questions now. Anwar, if you would like to look at that.
Yeah, please.
And in the meanwhile, I'll send some links relating to the coming 2 sessions that we will have. Anwar also continuing the topic on following to today's presentation.
What's the best way to share the data from a single API call on a single page, which comprise of multiple components using the same data? To share, we have a question here. As we know, the core strength of Blazor is support for component architecture. Yes. My question is, what is the best way to share the data from a single API call on a single page, which comprise of multiple components using the same data? Sure. We can just use this one. I think I had shown it in the previous demo. We have this part, so I'll just show you. In the counter also, you can take the same interface. But when we design the component, we are designing it in a way like the component, within the component, you have to add the zip code and show that one. If you want to get the data from another component, you have to use the parameter by inheriting it, by bringing it here and using that parameter and value provider from the other component. That's a bit in detail we have to see. It's a good topic to cover in a different session. We can do that. I hope the question is answered. If you want, we can just use whatever we have done here in a different component, and just by single line you can get this component be placed there and do whatever you do here in that within the other component. But again, the data will not be available. To have the data available, you have to have the data centrally available. Within the Blazor WebAssembly application, sure, there is an option like you can use app parameters. Like for example, in the program, let's say here, if you define any public variable, for example, I'm just using a string. You can use any kind of variable, a global var, okay. Okay. If you can use this one anywhere by just referring into, let's say our page itself here. global variable. Okay, here when we do, I'm adding that one. For example, I'm updating app dot to this one. And I can show this one on another page. So we will show this one on the other page also. So let's see how it works on the counter page. Here, okay, I am putting it here. Now it has gone into that global variable. Now when you come, it is shown here also. So you can get the data from by using the application and then your variable, whatever object you want to use, you can use it there and fill your data there and use it throughout the application. This is a way, I don't know, this is the best way, but from my experience, this is the best way to use. But this is not possible in Blazor server application because we don't have this option within the Blazor server application, but it is possible in Blazor WebAssembly application. In Blazor server application, you will have to use, different method. There are different options that is to be covered in detail actually. But in Blazor WebAssembly, as per my experience, this is the best option to use. I hope the question is answered. Yeah, sure. You can use cascading parameters, sure, but this will not. In this way, you don't have to use even cascading parameters. You have that one, but it takes a bit, use your memory. So if you are using, filling or populating complex variable, complex classes and all, it is better to not to use that one. Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome. I think that's all for today. Don't miss the coming sessions that are coming as part of this series. I sent the links in the chat. Make sure you're registered and you're also part of the meetup community where we get also to share all the interesting workshops that are happening. If you check out also the Reactor website or the global account on Meetup, the pro account, you can also be part of the other reactors. Since we're all streaming online, you can join live sessions happening in different locations and different time zones and engage and learn and continue this learning journey. Anyways, have fun. It was great having you all, and thank you, Anwar, for joining us. And looking forward to having you next week.
You're welcome, and thank you. And thank you all